Hey guys, it's Seto here. I know it's been a little bit of time. I've been a little bit busy with stuff going on between what we're dealing with right now and then some of my own personal life issues going on. But I have finally found time to start making videos again. And I figured, what better way to come back than to start from the very beginning, from the ground up. So this video is going to be for mostly new players, but even some intermediate level players might find a little bit of value out of this. I'm going to be taking a standard account from the very beginning, and we're going to be documenting the process of actually upgrading everything, what we're going through and all that. So what we're going to do is we're taking a standard account. I'm going to be going as a bear for the standard account. There's really not a difference if you're new between these two besides like the voice lines that you can use. But later on, it's suspected that more than likely USECs are going to be much better at using Western firearms and different kinds of tactics. And bears will be proficient at using AKs and anything of that nature, that specific weapon platform. But they'll also have a couple of other bonuses that are separate from USECs. There will also be faction divisions, where bears are supposed to work with bears and USECs are supposed to work with USECs. That's not actually in the game yet, as of October 10th. However, at this time I would assume that anybody you encounter in the game that you did not go into a raid with is immediately hostile. You should shoot on sight. So with that being said, let's go ahead into the bear and see what we're starting with. What I like to do, usually when I'm starting, is I'll come into the character screen, and I want to look at what I've got to start with. In a standard account, this is the very baseline stuff that you can get. And, of course, we don't have a lot of space to work with, but that's okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go through and organize this, and the way that I like to organize it is from a bottom-up perspective, meaning all the stuff I'm keeping will sit at the bottom, all the stuff I'm selling will be going to the top. So we're going to take a moment to organize that right now. Okay, so this is what we've got. Okay, so this is what we've got to work with right now. We just take a little brief inventory. I have one AKS-74U, I have 2 magazines, and then a stack of 60 of BP, which is pretty decent ammo, and we can work with that. I have 2 Triton rigs and 2 MBSS backpacks. I've got 6 handguns, 3 of them are chambered in 9mm, and 3 of them are chambered in a 9x18. So these ones are 9x19, these ones are 9x18. There's a very slight difference. Basically all you need to know, 9mm is like the Western 9mm, 9x18 is a Soviet 9mm. Now, I also have some meds, as you can see right here. We've got our AI2s, our splints, and our bandages. For the time being, this is all we have to work with, so one of our priorities is going to be getting more medication, because as we die in raids, we're going to need to bring ourselves back up. Now, 300,000 rubles isn't a lot, but we can use it for a couple of things. So first thing we're going to do is head to the hideout, and there's a couple of priorities that we need to set. As you can see, when you're in the hideout, you'll have red, means that that is locked, green means that you can actually construct something. First thing that I would do if I were you, you go to the med station, throw that up immediately. You can also examine items that you don't recognize here. Anytime you see something that you don't recognize, I would examine it immediately. Now the med station is pretty useful because we can actually craft more AI2s by getting these piles of meds, and these are actually not that hard to find. So we got heating as well. We might hold off on the heating and the lighting. So stash is another one that's going to be important, because right now our stash is small. But in order to get that, we're going to have to install some vents. So we can go up here. Oh, perfect. It's nice and cheap. We can throw the vents up. So now, all we got to do is we got to hit 3,500,000 rubles, and we have to collect these specific materials. Now, this number might seem difficult to hit. It's really not going to be that bad. We'll go through a couple different methods that you can use. Biggest thing that's going to be affecting it is you're going to need to make sure that you live through raids, because dying is what's going to cost you. So let's go through the rest right now. Lavatory, I know we want that. It's pretty cheap. It also gives us a couple of options for crafting that we will find useful. One of them being this. We can turn our 5 bandages into 10 bandages, but these actually are now 20 bandages because these count as 2. So if we can find a bottle of vodka, we can actually up our medical value by 4 times its previous amount right now. So we're going to hold on to those and see if we can't get that. Here's another good thing to know. Using 1 ripstop and 1 fleece, we can make 2 scav backpacks, which are actually pretty nice. Now, ripstop is easy to get because all we got to do is collect some of these scav vests, and we can convert that into 2 ripstop. So really, all we got to find is fleece. Or we can buy fleece on the flea market. We'll have to wait to level 10 for that, though. Let's keep going. So we'll go ahead. We're throwing up everything that we can. Beautiful. Oh, I almost forgot the generator. Now, the generator is a little bit expensive, costs us 100k, but we are going to need it if we want to craft anything in the med station. And we're going to need fuel for it as well. So now we'll come back. Now we're left with 88,000 rubles. That seems like it's a really small amount. Trust me, you're going to be just fine. It'll be alright, because we do have these scav runs that will always get you back up if you're low on anything. So we got 12 minutes on that, so that's fine. We're in no rush. We can take our time. So we'll go to the next stage, which is right here. So what you can do here, go to each trader and get familiar with what they sell and what they don't sell, obviously. And also come through here and just examine everything. You can do this very quickly by just hitting middle mouse button. You can see that we're getting a little bit of experience as we go through. So I'm going to leave you for a moment while I take care of this, and I'll be back when I'm done. Okay, now we've gone through all of that. The last thing that we can do, head over to Fence, just go through a bunch of the stuff that he can examine for you. This is just gonna be a bunch of random items. This could save your life in the game, because the longer that you have to spend actually examining things, the longer that you're gonna be looting and the higher chance that you're gonna get caught while you're looting something. Okay, I would still suggest you come to Fence every now and then just to check and see if there's anything that you can examine. I wouldn't recommend buying anything from Fence. He's usually going to charge you a higher price. But prior to the flea market, he might give you some things that you could need. So it's always worth it to check and see. But remember, you will be paying a premium for literally everything that you're looking for here. So let's come back over here. Take a look at our skills. You can see right there we've already gotten 1,747 experience. We're already level 2. Isn't that great? We didn't even have to play the game yet. So there's one more thing before we actually go into a raid. We're going to take a look at the tasks. So you'll come up, hit accept, gives you a little description right here. I'm not going to read these because I've seen these way too many times. This stuff isn't super important. It can give you a couple of clues though. If you want to go off of just the game, you don't want to use the Gamepedia pages or all that. But essentially, it'll tell you what your objectives are. So you got to kill 5 scavs at customs, which is not going to be too hard. And then you got to hand over 2 of these MP-133 shotguns. What they look like is basically a shotgun with a wooden pump. And it's like the baseline shotgun that you can get in this game. So those also won't be too hard. Now we'll come over to Therapist as well. Now she wants us to find 5 Saliwa kits and then hand them over. Again, not too hard. There's a couple places we can find those. Skier does not have anything yet. Peacekeeper, nothing yet. Mechanic, nothing yet. Ragman, nothing yet. It's always good just to check. Jaeger over here, we actually will not be able to access him until we get a task done that puts us into contact with him. So for now, we're only dealing with these 2 tasks, but later we're going to get into a lot more tasks. There's going to be a lot of juggling around. Okay? You'll also notice down here, you have a messenger tab. You'll get notifications about your tasks here, as you can see. This is also where you'll come to collect your mission rewards as well. And once you hit the flea market, this is where you're going to be receiving most of your money from the flea market, is in this screen right here. But for now, you only need it for basically receiving task items. Okay, so that all looks good. You'll also notice there's a handbook here. This is kind of a handy little thing. You can bring this up. This shows you a little catalog of everything that you have found so far. Everything that you have knowledge of, basically. So you can sit here and say, okay, I want to know about this. You can't actually examine anything here, but it shows you don't know all the pieces of this weapon. Which can be an issue, because if you don't know, like, the magazine, for example, you actually won't be able to reload until you examine the magazine. It's a little interesting quirk, but you can definitely deal with it. What this does tell you, though, is all the stats and stuff associated with it. Gives you a nice little menu that you can come through. If you want a particular, if you want assault rifles, okay, which of these assault rifles is going to have the best stats for what I'm looking for? And most of the stats are just going to be your ergonomics and then your vertical and horizontal recoil. Accuracy isn't a huge modifier at this point. Most of them are basically about the same. Mostly you're going to be looking at the base recoil stats, and then you're going to be looking at the ergonomics value. Muzzle velocity, not really a huge deal. Only thing that'll change is like how quickly your round will travel to a target. That's all it really changes. Additionally, if you want to get rid of that annoying green button, all you got to do is hover over it and then click it. So, we actually have a scav run coming up in 2 minutes. I would advise your very first raid that you ever do, take a scav run. I'm not going to say focus on scav runs because you will slow down your PMC's progress. However, a scav run is a free kit, essentially.